we want to do a little bit of journalism. The way my dad taught me to cover these practices was to describe as much as possible and to bring you inside. That's what I've been doing for 10 years. And it's why I think it's the first hit I ever had on this beat with practice reports. And you set me up, Dad. So how are we going to talk about this today?
Okay. The premise is that there are places that we can go, let's even call it sanctified places for sports fans, that you can't go to, like the clubhouse, the locker room, the dugout.
Mm-hmm.
I've spent a lot of time in dugouts. And now that the Niners are up and running, there was the rookie mini camp. And when did the OTA start, Iggy?
The OTA started on Monday, 24.
Okay.
Yeah.
And today we're at Tuesday.
Yeah.
So, you can't go on the field. And now some of the conditions have changed. So I want Iggy to describe what it's like there. So, Iggy, the way it used to work, you would park across the street and you would go in through, say, the main gate.
Yes.
It's not like that anymore.
Not like that anymore.
So why don't you start? You drive your Blue Beast. We call it Blue Beast, his new car.
Okay. So I get off at 238. I drive up Tasman. Then I turn left on Great America Parkway, and then I got Levi's on my right. It's a grand entrance. You see Great America, you see Top Gun, you see all the rides, and you see Levi's, and it's glorious. And then you drive past it. You drive past the museum, Michael Mina's, and then there's a little overpass that they built a new ramp off of. You haven't seen this. It's new.
No, I haven't seen it.
Take this ramp to the right, and it takes you back where there's an Amtrak stop right there. You know that Amtrak stop, right? Yeah. So it's for those people. It takes you into the back where the Amtrak parking lot is. That's where you park your car, and it's behind the parking field, the east side of the practice field. Can you picture that?
Yes, I can.
So you got Levi Stadium, and then to the east of that is the practice fields. And then to the east of that is the parking lot where I used to film my practice reports with the guy parking his car. That's where that is. So you get there and you check in and you tell them you don't have COVID. You get your temperature taken, you wait, you get a little thing around your wrists that lets you know that you're kosher. Then you go inside in through a gate, and it used to be you could walk around the entire perimeter. Now it's just one side because of safety protocols, at least for now. So you stand on the far east side and you can walk up and down the sideline and watch the 49ers practice. There's two practice fields. There's one in front of you and there's one on the other side, and they're like this, and you're here, and they're like this and this. And one day they're in front of you here and you get a great view. And the next day, just to preserve the grass, they're further away and you're watching through binoculars. Sometimes in practice, there are things going on both fields simultaneously, and you got to do your best to watch both or prioritize. Practice lasts for about an hour and a half. You start off, you watch them stretch. It's like PE. They're doing very easy stuff. They're stretching. Then they break up into their position groups and they go through all their little movements. It's like piano players doing the scales, the same things every day. And then they get together and they work together for 7-on-7s, 11-on-11s, 1-on-1s. They have all different ways of competing, but there's like warming up for about 45 minutes. And then there's about 45 minutes of competing. And then that's really it. That's about it.
I have some questions.
Yeah.
You say you're allowed to walk up and down the sideline. How close to the sideline can you get? Can you get to the line?
Maybe about 10 feet, maybe about 10 yards away. About 10 yards away.
You're pretty close.
You're pretty close. Yeah.
Can you hear things?
You absolutely can hear things. Now, sometimes they play really loud music. And I think part of the reason is they say it's to simulate crowd noise, but probably so we don't hear what the coaches are saying. So you don't always get to hear it, but sometimes some of the coaches yell really loud. You can hear it. Yes.
Do you ever get to talk to the coaches or players either during or after the practice? In person. I know Zoom you do, but in person.
That's up to the player or the coach. Kyle Shanahan doesn't come over to the writers during practice. Robert Saleh did. He would come over to us one by one, give us a handshake. How you doing? Say I mean, he's very, very good at what he does. Saleh would do it all the time. John Lynch will do it. Kyle doesn't. Depends on the person.
You know, it's Kyle's business if he doesn't want to do that. He could learn to be a little more socially sophisticated.
Yeah.
And it would only help him.
Yeah. I'm just not surprised that the son of a world champion head coach isn't the most socially sophisticated guy. I mean, he's great at football. I'm just not surprised. I mean, it's probably the way it goes.
Now, Iggy, one other thing. When you used to have full access, they would walk off the field. You'd be on the other side, the west side, and they'd walk past you. And then you could, in a sense, intercept people and say, may we make a date, or may I ask you a few questions now? That doesn't happen anymore.
That doesn't happen. That's how I got John Lynch 2 years ago. You go over to the west side as they're leaving. That way they have to walk past you toward the facility, and you could say, hey, John, Grant Cohn, do you have a minute? Can I interview you? Of course, Grant, absolutely. We can't do that anymore. We're relegated to the east side, and they walk away. And they just the space between the journalists and the team has grown literally and metaphorically the last year.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Now, one more question. How many reporters would you say are in your group watching the mini camp or the OTAs? How many are there?
Maybe 10 to 12 with photographers as well and some team people.
Yeah. And are they mostly newspaper people?
Well, The Athletic isn't the newspaper. NBC isn't newspaper. So no,
you're not a newspaper.
Really, the only newspaper is the Chronicle and the Merc.
It's
mostly not newspaper. It's ESPN, The Athletic, SI. Yeah.
It used to be mostly newspaper guys.
Exactly.
And Iggy, when you're there, do you hang around with the other people? There are some women, of course, I was going to say guys, with the other reporters, et cetera, what they are, or do you roam on your own? And what are you doing? What is your purpose when you're there?
Well, I certainly could talk to the other writers, and I really like the other writers. I talk to Josh Dubow all the time.
From Associated Press.
From Associated Press. But I do my best not to talk during practice because I look at practice as like it's just like gorging out on raw data, raw material. And you're trying to get as much as possible because, again, you're trying to see it through a fan's eyes. If they were there, they wouldn't be talking. Their eyes would be wide open and they'd be silent. They'd be like, oh, my God, this is a real practice. I'm trying to commit as much to memory as possible because it's my only shot to watch this and remember it. That's why I try to do it. Get as much down in my notebook as possible and then form themes afterward. If I had a 10-minute conversation, I missed something. So sometimes if a PR member comes over to me and starts to talk and I'm short, it's not personal. I'm just trying to watch practice.
I understand. And the reason a PR person would come over is it's good public relations to get along with the writers.
Right. They're just doing their job. Hey, Grant, how you doing? Not right now. Sorry, not right now. Yeah.
Iggy, do they hang around on your side of the field, the PR people?
Absolutely. And they're there to be like one of the guys and make it a more enjoyable experience. And a lot of those guys like hanging out and talking to each other. I felt like the way I differentiated myself 10 years ago was by having the best practice reports. I tried my best to have the most description, the most detailed, all of it. And people appreciated that. So I want to keep it up.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. So you want to bring people there, both into the atmosphere, into the actual place, but also to the extent that you're allowed to report things, because you don't want to blow things for the.
Of course, I'm not trying to be a subversive. No,
you don't want to do that at all. It's not fair. But yeah, let me finish. But what you want to do is give them a sense of practice.
Absolutely, and it went from me giving a practice report, like a 1,000-word practice report, to now a practice report and a post-game show where I answer questions. And these questions are going to be very detailed. What about this guy? What about that guy? And I do my best to look at all of them. It's just hard. There's a lot of times there's 90 guys out there in training camp. So there's a lot at stake, and I do my best to be able to answer the question.
For what it's worth, I have been down there at those before I retired, and I used to see you would fill up a notebook. Yeah. And you'd be really writing. And I wouldn't even know what I was looking at half the time. And I would think, boy, my son is really working hard. And from my point of view, watching you seem to be alone a lot. And what's more, I admired it, Iggy. It's not that I want you to be antisocial, because some of these people, I mean, Matty Mayoko and I are, that we are dear friends.
Yeah, the Niner beat crew can be very social. I just don't feel like that's the 90 minutes to do it.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah. I mean, like Matty and I are dear friends. We used to work at the Press Democrat together. We're in the same wine group. When I got my book published, it was Matty who connected me with the publisher. He's like a member of the family. But
It's very tight knit. This beat group. When they go out on the road, they always get dinner together. I mean, it's very very close. I just and in the media room every day when we used to be allowed in the media room, it would be a lot of fun. I mean, Eric Branch is hilarious. Maddie's very funny. We have a good time. But I really, honestly, I'm competing with them on the practice field. I want my practice report to be the best, and I want to see more than them. So I'm taking it seriously.
When you say you're competing with them, do you want to kick their ass?
I want to kick their ass. And the way I look at it is like, I work with them, but they're not my coworkers. I'm there for Sports Illustrated, and Sports Illustrated wants me to kick their ass. And the Chronicle wants Eric to kick my ass. So Eric, I love you, but I gotta stay employed, man. I got kids to feed in the future.
You know, it's so funny that you say that, because when I was working, I mean, I was very good friends, say, with Dave Newhouse from the Oakland Tribune, Kawakami when he was in the San Jose Merc. Mark Purdy and I are very good friends. I wanted to kick their ass, and they wanted to kick my ass. And the point was, it made us all better. And then afterward, if we were on the road, we'd all go out and have dinner and love each other.
Absolutely. I mean, my practice reports wouldn't be good if their practice reports weren't good to begin with, and I felt like I didn't have to outdo them. So yeah. Salute to them. I love those guys. I just need to kick their ass every now and then.
Okay.
Real quick, David says, I used to watch the Chargers training camp at UCSD between summer classes. Totally open. Watched as much as I wanted. Now reporters can't get a good view. I know. It's so silly. And these teams really don't want you to say anything about scheme, even if it seems like football basics, which to me, I think is a mistake. I think the NFL needs to open the whole league back up the way it was maybe 30, 40 years ago. But that's not the subject of the show right now. Good call, David.
We'll say one last thing and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
Covering the NFL now is like trying to break into the Pentagon. It's ridiculous.